first of all, I'm going to introduce you to John Biggs. You may have seen John around the show. John lives in Brooklyn, New York, and writes about technology, security, gadgets, wristwatches, and the internet. There he is. I think his friend is lying by him, fast asleep. After spending 4 years as an IT programmer, he switched gears and became a full-time journalist. His work has appeared in the New York Times, Laptop, PUC Upgrade, Men's Health, to name but a few. And he's written a book called Black Hat: Misfits, Criminals, and Scammers in the Internet Age. That should be top of the bestsellers. So without any further ado, please welcome on stage the one and only John Biggs. Hello, you. In your own time. Nice to see you. Here.
Right here?
Yeah, that's it. John,
oh, this is excellent.
There's the audience for you. You can start now.
This is them. This is them. Excellent. Perfect. So what am I doing? What is this? Oh, this. Find the schematic. Excellent. You're going to like this. So I'm John Biggs. This is called Find the Schematic. I'm very happy to be here in Poznan. I have two exciting things about today. Is that I'm in Poznan again. I was here last year, I think. I was? Yes. And I'm growing a beard. These guys made me grow a beard that I'm traveling with. So as you see, it's coming in quite lustrously. So if you guys want to touch the beard or whatever after this, it's fine. It's whatever. I mean, we can do it in the back. We can do it out here. Just tell me. Find the schematic. I am John Biggs, East Coast editor, TechCrunch, writer, realist, dancer, singer, at John Biggs on Twitter. This is my book. Is like that? There you go. My book, you can download a book I wrote. This is my head. I like to give these out. These are my heads. So who wants a head? There you go. So I'm the only journalist you guys know who has, you don't need one. You already have a 3D printer. This poor guy over here wants one. But I'm no good at throwing these. You got it? Okay. I'm the only journalist you know that has a 3D printed head. So apparently everybody's showing their parents and stuff on here, so this is my dad. And what I want to point out about my dad is that this was taken in about 1956, and I think this was like a selfie that he did, one of the original selfies. But back then they didn't have iPhones, so they had cameras, which were things that you had film in. And he's smoking a pipe, reading Lawrence Ferlinghetti, Coney Island of the Mind, and drinking a beer. And things I learned from my dad is the love of poetry. I didn't like smoking his pipe that much, but then I put other stuff into it and it got better. And I also learned a love of beer. But I also learned one very specific thing from Pops. And that was that he knew how to build this crazy kind of stuff. Look at this. This thing is a Heathkit amplifier. And back then you couldn't go to Best Buy because they didn't have Best Buy in 1956, or at least I don't think they did. And you would get a package of parts and a case and a bunch of knobs, and you'd put these things together. You'd get an instruction manual. Right now, the instruction manual consists of 2 pages. It's basically open box, press button, and plus some FCC stuff, whereas before you had a full instruction manual. And you got something like this. So this gave you a full schematic of how to build this thing. If you didn't know how to read this, you were out of luck. You were stuck. You had no amplifier. You had no shortwave radio. So there's a couple of multi-pole switches in there. There's some crystals. There's all kinds of great stuff. And my dad grew up building these kinds of things. And I remember one time, back in the 80s, that's how old I am. The 80s were a fond, fond memory for me. Back in the 80s, just thinking about it, it's beautiful. Back in the 80s, my dad showed me some walkie-talkies. And they were broken. We said, hey, we're going to open it up and we're going to find the schematic. And I thought this was some kind of Zen thing, like we're going to find the schematic. We're going to find our center. We're going to sit down on a chair for like 30 minutes and discover the universe. But actually what we're going to do is we're going to find the schematic. We're going to find this that's labeled inside of all these Heathkit projects, and you could fix things. We haven't had schematics for 30 years. We're a generation that feels that schematics are outdated, outmoded, and unpopular. We don't need these things because our devices have one button, one screen, and if it breaks, you take it back and buy a new one, or you throw it away and buy a new one. So I still think that this is one of the best tools a programmer, an entrepreneur, a marketer, a designer could ever have. The ability to get to the core, the heart of the machine, finding the schematic of this specific machine. I don't think this is dead yet. And if you're a marketer, this is important because your customers can see into you. They can see exactly what they're doing. They're watching your social presence, they're watching your Facebook, they're watching your Twitter, and they're making fun of you, and they're replying to you, and you have to deal with that. If you're a manufacturer, you have to know that your people are looking at your devices as things that they can use to build other stuff, as opposed to a black box. And if you're a programmer, you have to know that your code is transparent. Somebody's going to try to crack it. Somebody's going to break into it. Generally, I'm trying to explain that you guys need to kill your black boxes. So what happens when you make a black box? I have to go through these fairly quickly because we don't have a lot of time. But this is an interesting example. This happened in 2003 in Linux code. And Linux isn't a black box. It's actually a very nice open system. And somebody put this piece of code into a program called wait_for. And wait_for just waits for a command. Now, if you're a C programmer, you'll understand what exactly is going on here. If you're not a C programmer, you don't know what the hell is going on here. But if you look at the end here, current UID, it's sort of an if statement. Current UID equals 0. So in 99% of people's heads, they realize that current UID is asking if current UID is 0, then do this thing. But what this really does is it sets current UID to 0. So this is basically a root hack. So this allows you root access to the system. And if Linux hadn't been a black box, this could have gone through, and every single Linux box in the entire known universe, even in space, would have been essentially open. And who knows what's going on inside of Microsoft's products? Who knows what's going on inside of Apple's products? If this can go on inside of Linux. Another closed thing was this QCat. This was about 1999, 2000. And some idiots decided that if they put a barcode inside of a magazine and they sent everybody in the world a little cat that had a barcode reader in it, then you could scan these things in the magazine. And you were going to be really excited. It's going to be a lot of fun because people back then, back in the 90s, they didn't know how to type in www.google.com. They didn't have that kind of technology. So you had the QCat, which would type in URLs for you. But this is actually a very interesting piece of technology for 98, 2000. And it was a barcode reader that worked, and eventually people started hacking them. And QCat got really pissed off. They were sending out free barcode readers to people, and people were hacking them to turn them into, I don't know, point-of-sale scanners, and they were very angry. The people who hacked them did just fine. They used them for whatever projects they were. QCat, on the other hand, went out of business. Finally, here's the ultimate in black boxes. This, ladies and gentlemen, is my handiwork. I did this myself. So I want you guys to take a look at this. It's really nice. So it's a broken corner of an iPad down in the back there. And what the rest of the cracks are me. I did that. And this is the ultimate black box. The only way to get this piece of garbage open is to heat up the sides of the piece to get the glue out and pop out the digitizer. Then you have to cut like a piece down at the button right here. Then you have to lift out the LCD. Now what they don't tell you when you lift, well, what nobody tells you, I had to find the schematic on iFixit, and they told me to do these steps, is that sometimes the LCD is stuck to the inside. So if you get like a piece of plastic up underneath there and pull it a little too hard, you'll crack the LCD. So not only did I crack my digitizer, I also cracked my LCD, and now I just have a very handsome aluminum case that I can put coins in, I suppose. That's literally all I have now. So I've destroyed this completely. That's the ultimate black box. Non-black boxes, Raspberry Pi. This is my Raspberry Pi setup at home. It's mining Bitcoins right now. I'm becoming very rich. Every second I stand here, I get more money. It's like Midas. Kinect. And Microsoft has opened up the Kinect. They've allowed you to do all sorts of crazy stuff, 3D printing, 3D scanning. That Microsoft allowed you to do that is actually kind of new for Microsoft. But all you have to do is set up a Kinect, take somebody's video, take a picture, and you have a 3D object that you can print, just like my head. And finally, this is my favorite thing. I like to drink a lot, all the time. So I like this product, which is called Monsieur. And what it is, it's an Android box with a tablet in it and some, some squirters. I don't know what the proper technological term is. It might be squirters. And microcontrollers. So your tablet and your squirters, and the squirters shoot out booze into cups, and they make you drinks. So this replaces bartenders completely. So you pick out your drink, and it makes the drink, and it's delicious. And these guys in Atlanta built this all by themselves in their garage, and they used all open source stuff. It's not an open source product because they're selling it and they're making a really nice case for it. But imagine what you can do with an Android tablet and a lot of booze. I prefer just a lot of booze. So, if you're going to take anything away from my babbling here, it's that you need to make an environment for making. That way you can get all these happy accidents. That way you don't have a system. You're not facing a problem where you can't open these black boxes. Make an environment for making. There are four examples, whatever. LiveBolt. LiveBolt was a company that Disrupt. We brought these guys in, and they had an idea for a live in-place check-in sort of system. You'd put your iPhone up against a piece of metal, and it would buzz, and it would know where you are. I said that was a stupid idea, and they understood that almost immediately. And I gave them another piece of hardware called an electric imp, which was a system for connecting your electronics to the network, to the internet. And you could press a button and it would open and close something or whatever. So they used that. They built a door. They went out and bought a door and a deadbolt and made this crazy thing called LiveBolt, which is probably one of the first remote-controlled deadbolts that I've ever seen. Another thing is 3M. They're a Minnesota company, and they created an environment for making simply because they had boys coming back from World War II who were kind of a mess. And these guys were regimented, and they were used to solving very complex problems in very rough situations. So they said they're going to give them 15% time. This was 1948 when they started giving them 15% time to work on any project that they wanted. And during that period, they invented all sorts of great stuff until 1974 when they invented the Post-it note, which everybody uses and or loves. Finally, we have Quicken. Quicken is in Detroit. Detroit, for those who aren't familiar, if you just imagine Warsaw after the war, it's slightly worse than that. So that's what Detroit is like right now. It's the worst place in America. And Quicken has moved in there. They've taken over a lot of buildings, and they have their own skunk works, they have their own systems, and they have their own, all their employees have the opportunity to go down into an office area and just build crazy stuff. Even if you're making mortgages, even if you're writing mortgages, even if you're doing something horribly boring, you could still escape, go downstairs, and make something crazy. These are three companies who are doing something different in terms of encouraging their organization, their employees, and their people to start making things. My advice, hold internal hackathons. This is one of the things that a lot of these guys do. They'll hold internal hackathons. Different departments will try to solve different problems. They'll offer their best solutions. Those solutions will eventually be made into policy. And it sounds wildly boring to me since I don't like being in a cubicle. But if I were in a cubicle, I would love this stuff. I'd eat this stuff up. Hold external hackathons. Invite some of your competitors in. I know that's a no-no, I suppose, in some cases. But why not? What are you going to lose if you bring in 2 or 3 more programmers to help to compete against all the folks at your office in terms of what you guys can build, what you guys can work together to build, how you guys can make your APIs work together better. 80-20 your best workers, or 80-20 all your workers. If you only have 5 workers, give them 80-20 time. 20% of the time they have free to make stuff. 80% of the time they have to sit there and build, I don't know, 3D printed heads. Publish your source code when you can. That's always a good thing to do. I wouldn't have been able to open up this iPad had I not had iFixit folks who are giving away content to me to show me how this is done. And they make their money by selling replacement screens to idiots like me who try to open their iPads. And use the tools makers use. One of the recommendations that I've always had is to build a maker bar in your office. What is a maker bar? This involves bringing in a MakerBot, involves bringing in some Arduino stuff, bringing in microcontrollers, bringing in books, bringing in ways for folks to understand what's out there. And this is extremely important because this is a form of play. This is a form of mind expansion that does not require LSD. And I think this is probably one of the better ways to do it, especially in an office environment. If you're at a retreat, you can all be on MDMA and see what happens. But when you're in the office, you want to just use an Arduino. And yeah, as I say, it's a maker bar, not a beer bar. You can always have beer, though. This is my last and final note. ABB, this is one big thing that I'm always trying to tell folks. Always be, ignore this, here. Just do that. Always be building. Always be building. Always be changing. There are so many cool things that you can do as long as you find that schematic, as long as you find the key in the source code and the command line to your process, whatever it is. Could be marketing, could be building race cars. There are always ways around the status quo. And the other reason why I really liked Heathkit back in the 80s is that they had ads like this. And I mean, how old was I? 15 or something like that. No, not even 15, probably 10. Anyway, we didn't have a lot of pornography around the house. This was before easy access to pornography. I mean, look at this woman. She has a Zenith computer and a robot, so that's pretty hot. So that's why I was really excited about Heathkit early on. So anyway, find the schematic. If you have any questions, you can contact me directly at John Biggs, john@BiggsCC. And now we're going to bring out some of my favorite Polish hackers that we've met. And one of my favorite young men, Matt Burns, he's going to pop onto stage to introduce them. Matt? You can clap now. Thank you. Matt? I'm here. Okay.
Hello, how are you?
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
That was very nice. You do know that I'm from Detroit,
Yeah,
right?
it's the worst city in the world. It's
It's
horrible.
a very lovely city, and I highly recommend you go there. So, anyway, thank you, John. What John has done is he's invited 3 Polish companies to come up on stage and we're going to talk about their products and how they reinvent themselves. And what he's done to me, the dirty American, is I have to pronounce these names now. So, what we have Katrina Bolszczyk
What?
from Gadgets 3D.
Wait, show me again.
Hold on. Okay. You want to see this?
Bołącz.
Bolich. I stayed with John's
Bołącz.
in-laws the last couple days.
Where
I
is she?
couldn't
Get
even
up
do
here.
thank you. And then we have Camille Adamczyk
Yeah.
from Italic Clinic. And then Camille Samara from Mechatronic.
Mechatronic.
Did I do okay?
Excellent. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
All right, good.
All right.
Come on up, guys. Let's talk.
So these guys are going to
Right
do
over here. We got a couple over here.
So you guys are going to do a short presentation each, right? Is that right? Who's
Who
starting? Do we know?
starts now?
Who went first?
Let's just
Who
do their
presentation
presentations.
is
They're going to
first?
talk about their
those
products.
are really killer boots.
Maybe
I like your
mine,
boots a
but-
lot. Can I have your boots?
Intel
What size
Clinic.
are you?
This is not mine.
Okay, you're first, Camille.
Me?
I'm
Camille,
talking about his
dude.
boots. Can we have this conversation about his boots, please? I'm a size 42 European.
The same as I.
Those are mine later, okay? You can keep your sleep mask, and I'll take your boots.
Okay.
All right.
This is yours presentation.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, go.
Okay, so hello
They have
everyone.
to-
Whoa.
okay.
My name is Kamil Adamczyk. I'm CEO and founder of Intel Clinic, and we are Google Analytics for human body. We are scientists, we are engineers, we are students, but what we are doing, we are helping you to get better tomorrow. We are creating devices which help you in everyday life. What's the problem? The problem is a sleep, but more specifically is a lack of sleep. This is how we are sleeping right now. It's our sleep cycle. Just remember 2 words, REM and NREM. REM is a keyword. REM is a good sleep. So, as you could see, during the night, all of us, we have only 15% of good sleep. So, maybe we should get rid of this inefficient way of sleeping and sleep only with REM stage of sleep. Sounds crazy. John also thinks it's crazy. The first time I told him about my idea, he said that I am a drug dealer. But yeah, we could do this. It's called polyphasic sleep. This is the way you could get rid of inefficient way of sleeping. And sleep also using REM stage of sleep. There are different modes I told you about later. Those guys slept using polyphasic sleep, so all of us can do this. And how we could do this? using our mask, smart sleeping mask. Using this device, you could fully understand your body. You could fully understand your sleep. This device connects with your smartphone and show all details of your sleep you need to switch from monophasic to polyphasic sleep. We are reading your brain waves, eye movement, and muscle tension. On that basis, we're putting on an artificial intelligence method. So we are really, really, really good. We are almost good as medical polysomnographists. Why we are different from our competitors as Jawbone or Fitbit? We are tracking your brainwaves, not only your movement. You cannot describe your sleep only using your movements. We are entering Kickstarter campaign in a week. Our mask is going to cost $225. And this is our team. I am a medical student. We have great engineers. We have graphic designers and people from sales. And our market is really huge. Almost half of American population can't sleep well. Right now, we are here. We are going, as I said, to launch Kickstarter campaign. Right now, you could pre-order our mask at our website, intelclinic.com. At the future, we are planning to create an EEG fatigue detector. So we could prevent driver from sleeping behind the wheel. Thank you very much.
Do you have one of those for us? Can I have one of those?
Yeah.
Oh wow, this is so. So
Yeah,
this is
it's for you,
This is a trick
basically.
for you guys when you guys present. If you give
Yeah,
the people
one
who
for
are
you
in
and one
charge
for me.
presents,
thank
then
you.
they're far happier.
Camille, can you talk two things? One, how are you going to distribute this? And two, what does this do for a wearer's sex life? Serious questions, I'm concerned. But what's your distribution model, and how does Europe really interact with that?
Basically, we are going to create this device in Poland. We are doing everything from the scratch, PCB, foam creation. Then, using Amazon, we are going to ship it from all over the world. We're going to ship it to the United States, and from New Jersey, distribute to the final customer.
Great.
Now, in terms of the sex life thing, does this work for anybody?
Yeah.
Is this nice? Yeah, I wish I could tell. I wish I could see who that was. All right, so who's next? What do we got next?
Hello, I'm Karolina Bołądź and I represent the company called Gadget 3D. And I would like to tell you shortly about our product, Zortrax M200. Zortrax is a 3D printer which works in fused filament fabrication. This is a popular technology in rapid prototyping. Zortrax is easy to use and it has low running costs, so it makes it affordable for small companies, for designers, even for startups and hobbyists. So when we had already the prototype of Zortrax, we had to decide how to distribute our product and how to bring it to the market. And we decided to ask our potential users for help on Kickstarter. The most exciting moment on the Kickstarter was when we sent the first version of the campaign and we got the feedback. And it took two additional months to improve the campaign following their advice. We thought that everything is done great, but we had to change our roadmap. Finally, when we achieved the goal of $100,000 and then the total funding of $180,000, we thought that our product will do everything and everything will be great. But we had no clue what kind of problems we will have to solve and what additional costs we will have to cover. And about the backers, we had to cover additional costs. We had to care about marketing, about custom production, but finally, in general, we have to care about backers. And the most interesting thing on Kickstarter is that you can involve your potential customers to your project. And because of this, Zortrax was created with the help of 144 creative people. Now we start shipping our product, and even if we handled the production well, we have to care about our market. And finally, we had to change and redesign our roadmap even a few times during the campaign. So everything is changing all the time. It's a business project, and you have to predict everything. With our short, but I think intense Kickstarter experience, I can say that it's not easy money for sure, but can be a smart money for every company. Thank you.
I'm very curious with 3D printers. John has about a dozen of them in his house,
I have
enough to print to your head.
Yeah.
But how can retailers really take it? Where do you see retailers taking advantage of 3D printing? Stores, commerce.
But what do you mean exactly? Sorry, I'm not sure if I understand your
Sure.
question.
Do you see a time when you could walk into Home Depot, buy a 3D printer, or even else, Home Depot will print something for you?
But you mean the market forecast? Or in 2040, there is a prediction that every person in US will have a 3D printer in home. So I think it's a good prediction for us.
Sure, yeah. Well, right now, every American, I can tell you, has a big screen TV. So it's probably a good bet.
Yes, it's the same thing. So.
But until that happens, will there be a time when stores can really take advantage of this? How could a store or a local shop really use a 3D printer?
You mean small companies?
Small companies, yeah.
You know, it's not the same thing as, for example, traditional printers, paper printers, because still I think that 3D printers are for specific branches and for specific kind of people. But, you know, the creative field is really huge and wide. So we will have more and more creative people which like to make some things, to design the future, to create.
Mm-hmm. John, what's the coolest thing you've printed on your 3D printer?
My heads. Because I get to see myself every single time, every one that pops off. Actually, no. So today, what I'm doing is I'm actually people send me things to print. There's a thing called Make XYZ, and they actually pay me to print stuff, which is insane. And they send me these little projects. And today, from my seat right here, I was able to connect to my printer. I was able to turn it on using another thing and start printing. And then I have this stuff, and then my kids pull everything off the printer and they give it to people. So then now it looks like that I have a small army of children manufacturing. So it's just like child labor, only it's not as dangerous. They don't have to
He's being completely honest.
Yeah,
Earlier
exactly.
today in his hotel room, I was working and he was FaceTiming with his 8-year-old about how to take the very sharp knife from behind the monitor and to cut it out. That's completely true.
It's good for kids. They love knives. All right, Kamil?
Thanks. Hi, everyone. First, I have one question to you. Who likes sports car?
I do.
Two or three?
Just raise your hand, guys.
No,
be nice.
come on. Racing cars, sports cars, Lamborghini, Ferrari. Okay, now we can talk. I'm Kamil, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Mechatronics. First, a little story about our team. Everyone, as a child, had a dream, one big dream. We also have a dream, but we were a little older. We want to take part in racing championship on a circuit, really circuit, like Silverstone. But it's only Formula One. No, we can take part in Formula Student. Great idea, but there is one big problem. We must to build a sports car, racing car, in 2 months. We do not have enough time and money, of course, but we have one great thing: passion. Passion was very important for our team, and we were working around the clock by 2 months, and we did it. We start on Silverstone in England, and we start on Hungary's circuit, and it was great experience for us. But after that, we realized one thing. What was the most important part in all racing cars on the world? One important part. The most important part in our race car was our team. We have great team. There are many teams all over the world, but our team was the best because we have passion and we are determined to hard working. It was very hard because we have only 2 months. Next thing, what we realized after all the project was that is one big thing in the industry of prototyping, in all of the industries, is prototyping big parts. For example, when you can make a prototyping of the motorcycle, you have to pay a lot of money. So we have great team, we have a problem, so come on, great idea. We want to build a large-scale economic 3D printer. It's so easy. No, you're not. Every product around us have a long way to be created in mass production. Testing and prototyping makes a lot of money and time. So there is a huge problem: big parts. Big parts and serial prototyping generates high costs. So it will be a revolution in every area: in automotive, in aerospace, in architecture, and of course in composites industry. Why we are the best? Because we want to build 8 times cheaper printing in manufacturing, of course, large-scale economical 3D printer. We will have a huge workspace, and we will be 2 times faster than another economical printers. So our machine is now after the project. We are collecting materials, and then we will create the first prototype. This revolution of 3D printing is coming, and we want to be a part of it. How about you? John, I will send you an invitation on Facebook, of course.
Yeah, I want a big one.
Okay.
I want my whole head like giant.
Yeah, it will be giant, large scale.
I want it like Easter Island big.
I will print it for you.
All right, cool.
Thanks. We have a chance because we are in Chance Accelerator. We have first investor, it's Rafał Hahn. This is investor in STMode. The most important thing of this presentation for me is that I want to remember that, you will remember, that my name is Kamil and I will make this revolution. Thank you.
So this thing's big.
Very big. 2 meters per 1 meter and 1 meter. You can print motorcycle.
So you could print a lazy boy, a chair.
A chair, of course.
One of these chairs.
Nice chair, yeah.
Okay. Why would you want to do that?
There's no more IKEA.
Huh?
Why?
Why?
Why would you want to do that?
Because prototyping generates costs, high costs. So when you have economical prototyping, you can make cheaper things, like this chair. It can be cheaper.
This chair's pretty nice.
Yes, it's very nice. But remember that before mass production of the chair, it must be a long way prototyping and testing.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense. With the big printers,
yes.
Right now with the prototyping stage, somebody would email John a Batman mask. Was that what you were printing?
It was something. I don't know what it was.
I was
weird.
looking at your
Yeah,
screen.
yeah.
I was curious.
Don't look at the screen too much. There's
Yeah, I
weird
know.
stuff going on there.
But somebody could email you a Batman, and you could print the Batman, and they could be painted, and it can be a model, or it could be just a prototype for clothing.
Oh, of course,
Anything, right?
of course.
So
You can-
take me through the process here. If I want to print something this large, let's say a vase, this big, this round, how long would that take?
on this printer,
Yeah, on your printer. Yeah,
on our printer,
on your printer.
the Batman, maybe 2 days.
2 days. That's
Yeah.
not too bad.
All right.
What's the alternative?
The alternative.
You just want to buy one of these?
now
Is
it's
that what's
milling.
going on here?
I'm shopping right now, so
Okay,
shut
cool.
up. Let me
All
talk.
right.
I
Okay.
would like to buy one of these. So what's the alternative? What would somebody do instead of that?
For example, milling. You know what is milling?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but you have to be a millionaire because
Right,
it's
sure.
very, very high cost prototyping.
Great. I'm sold.
All right,
What-
so we have one sale. So thank you guys very much. I think you guys are some of the best hackers that we've seen out here in Poland. In all the years I've come back to Poland, things have just gotten more and more incredible every time I come back. So thank you guys very much for coming on stage. Do you want to say anything else, Matt?
I would really like to defend Detroit again.
Detroit's a horrible place. I went to Detroit, I was looking out a window, not a single car went by. And Detroit is the motor city. You're supposed to have cars.
It's a very big city. It's the biggest city in America.
It's awful. Anyway, so there you have it. Don't go to Detroit. I'm John Biggs. This is...
I'm Matt Burns.
And these are the best Polish startups that we found so far. We're all on TechCrunch, John at TechCrunch, Matt at TechCrunch. Thanks for listening to our babbling, and we will see you at the party. It should be fun, right?
It'll be a good time.
Thanks.
Right. Lovely. Thank you to John and Matt and to our 3 TechCrunch examples. We really enjoyed that, guys. Thank you
Yeah,
very
thanks.
much. And,
Thank you.
Perfect.
we look forward to seeing all your printed heads. If you've got anything you want printed, by the way,
thank you.
send
Oh,
your
thank you.
orders
Oh,
in
thank you.
to this man. And they've both been given a gift. It's pizza. So there you go. Share it out with all your fellows. Once more for John and Matt. Thank you, guys.